All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be breaking down the top bets here for the John Deere Classic. Let's go ahead and start out with my favorite outright bets. And so two of the players that I'm going to recommend are going to be two players that finished T2 on the outright betting card last week, going back to the well with them. That's going to be Davis Thompson and also Aaron Rai. For me, there's no reason not to play them again this week or go back to the well with them again this week. Now, when we look at Aaron Rai as a play, the one concern that we have with him is going to be the same concern that I had with Keith Mitchell last week, is the fact that he doesn't have any course history. That is a small data point that does add up, and it wouldn't be shocking, I guess, to see him have a lackluster week this week, but all in all, he is going to be an extremely good stat fit. When we look at par 5 scoring, he's 25th in the field in par 5 scoring, 4th in the field in ball striking. Little bit concerning given his strokes gained putting, but we know that's a stat that can be highly variable. If a guy gets hot with the putter, that could be huge. And then he is 40th in birdie or better percentage. So he's only the 10th best stat in the field. That is like the one concern that I have from him, and that's the one concern that the data has from him. But if we look over his past 7 starts, he's made the cut in all those with 2 top 10 finishes, 2 top 5 finishes, and 5 of those 7 have been top 25 or better finishes, and all of them being top 40 or better finishes. And so we look at Aaron Rai this week, we can still get him at a decent line. Now, it's not going to be 40-1 last week. It's going to be 20-1 this week. I still think that's fine. You can get that in PointsBet, FanDuel, and also DraftKings. Happy to go out of my way and target him there. And then again, going to be going with Davis Thompson. Now, probably a little bit unlucky, honestly, to have a random winner last week in Cameron Davis win. That is something that we're not going to see continue to happen throughout the season. That's something, though, that golfers that are good plays are going to tend to win a little bit more frequently. And so I'm perfectly happy to go back to the well with someone like Davis Thompson, who is going to be a good play. He's actually probably a better play this week than he was last week. Actually, he is. And we can get him at 25-1. So again, not 40-1, but still going to be good enough odds. And Davis Thompson is someone that has made a start at this track, which was last year, finishing 31st, which I think is pretty darn good for a first start. And obviously he's kind of having a career year, and he could cap that off with a win. I mean, it's a young career. It's kind of a silly statement, but looking at his past 7 starts, 1 miscut, 2 miscut. Other than that, a 2nd place finish, a 9th place finish, a 2nd place finish. So he has been right there. Honestly, for most of Sunday's round, it never really felt like Cameron Davis was going to win. I actually kind of thought it would be Davis Thompson kind of coming through, or Cameron Young, who ended up finishing 2 shots back, and also Aaron Rai. But I think the biggest thing with those guys is the fact that they didn't really choke it away. And so mentally, they're not going to be handicapped by that. And so I do think that those 2 golfers are going to be 2 starting points. And I actually kind of like the fact that we are getting them at around 20-1. Now, last year I did have a 2nd place runner-up finisher in Alex Smalley as well at 40-1. So if that happens again, I'm going to be a little tilted. But let's go ahead and get into maybe some more longer shot bets. I still think Maverick McNeely, though, is going to be someone that we should be going out of our way to target. He did have a bad week last week in terms of like having an upside finish. He only finished 44th. At least he was able to make the cut. Now, this is a track in which he has played well. An 8th and an 18th place finish. Overall, he's the 4th best staff in the field. Really no concerns data-wise, especially in comparison to the field. Top 40 or better in all the key stats that we're looking at. He is someone that ranks top 20 or better in all the key metrics that we're looking at. And really, when we look at those first 3 golfers, Aaron Rai, Davis Thompson, and Maverick McNeely, those 3 golfers all rank top 20 or better in the 4 key metrics that we looked at for predictability. And so those golfers are going to be the starting points for me. And when we look at McNeely, we can actually get him at 30-1 on PointsBet, which to me is kind of crazy. I feel like they're somewhat baiting us into that bet, but that is one I'd be happy to make. William Hill, for example purposes, has him at 22-1. And so there are some, little bit of discrepancies between that line, which tells me that we are getting a pretty good edge on him on PointsBet. Now, another play that I like specifically for betting purposes is going to be Sungjae Im, and he's someone that I like. You could potentially bet to top 10 at like 2-1 on PointsBet. We are getting some good lines there. Or bet him outright at 16-1. Again, on PointsBet, we are getting some good lines there. He is someone that, it's weird. I wouldn't want to make a made cut bet on him. I would actually argue that a miscut bet would be best for bet him to win or bet him to miscut. Because when we look at Sungjae Im and kind of his recent form, that has been the case with him, is that he's been really hit or miss in that department. We can see 3rd, miscut, 8th, 9th, miscut, 4th, 12th. So when he's on, he is on. When he is off, he is off, which is kind of okay with an outright bet. That's kind of okay betting-wise as well. So that's where I'm looking at Sungjae. If he is on his game, I'm kind of okay rolling with that. Now, do we have to worry about Sungjae looking ahead to the major? I don't think so. And I think that's a big thing about this week is that the golfers that are playing in this event, I don't think we're going to have to worry about them potentially looking ahead to having to make a trip overseas. They're playing in this event for a reason, and I kind of like that. And so for me, that's going to be like the 4 kind of outright bets that I feel like we must kind of make in a sense that they are just kind of the clear-cut good starting points, I would say. But after that, I will say we are getting some other bets that I think are going to be good bets, okay? And I want to touch on those as well. So we do have Sam Stevens here, who, you know, does fall a little bit outside of kind of what my norm is, which is just betting on the top 7 or better golfers. I should rephrase that. Top 5% of golfers, which is typically the top 7 in the 9 to 5 mile to win, which if you did that, you've hit 11 outright winners thus far this season. Now, yes, that's a lot due to Xander, Rory, and Scotty, but still, the point still stands. Like you're going to hit more outright winners doing that. But this week is a little bit more unique where I'm fine kind of chasing someone that's an elite stat fit, and I'm kind of fine chasing someone that has shown upside as well. This is almost the same as DraftKings, except for you might argue Sam Stevens has been a little bit safer recently than DraftKings, and he's actually a better stat fit as well. So looking at Sam Stevens, par 5 scoring, 6th in the field, ball striking, 15th in the field, strokes gained putting, 20th in the field, birdie or better percentage, 14th in the field. And so you look at last week's result of finishing top 10, not really too much of a shock, honestly. Kind of it's not a similar course, but it is a similar course. It's kind of a lot of the same things that it takes to play well this week are also what you need to play well last week as well. Like those key stats are the same basically, except for we're changing out strokes gained approach with strokes gained putting a little bit more. And if you guys are ever confused why I'm looking at key stats, that's based off of the past tournament results, what key stats led to success. And so that's what we're looking at. And so the fact that he ranks top 20 or better in all those is fantastic. 5th best stat fit as a whole. And if we look at over his past 7 starts, a 10th place finish, a 14th place finish, a miscut on the number, a 10th, a 62nd, and a 4th place finish. Just really good results from him. And so the fact that we can still get him at 50-1 is like a very good number, I would say, for Sam Stevens. I'm very happy to do that. Now, yes, that's a little bit of a number bet, like I mentioned before, where yes, I'm chasing a little bit more of the lines rather than going with someone like, let's say, Seb Straka, who I wouldn't argue if anyone is betting on. Or let's say Denny McCarthy or Jason Day or Keith Mitchell or even JT Poston. Like I wouldn't argue those. Okay. And even Jordan as well. Like I wouldn't argue that. But to me, I want to find golfers that maybe do have a little bit better number this week because it is a little bit more random. Like I mentioned last week or last year at this tournament, we had Alex Smalley finish 2nd at 40-1. Only had 6 golfers on their outright betting card. 2 of them finished top 10 as well, other than Smalley. So like it wasn't a bad week. And I do expect those golfers to typically win more frequently. And that's what the day suggests as well. But at the same time, this isn't like a normal event in which we expect the really big name golfers to win. This is an event where if someone's in contention to win, they might need a little luck. Things might need to fall in place a little bit more so for them to win than other weeks. Whereas like those bigger name golfers, they're going to go out of their way. They're going to be the reason why they win, as to like last week where, for example purposes, Cameron Davis, Akshay had to miss that putt. Like Akshay had to kind of choke. And I'm not saying Davis 1-1 in the playoff. I'm just saying that's the stuff we like are going to probably see a little bit more frequently in these lesser caliber field events. And so again, that's why I'm fine with kind of opening up a little bit more. And so another play that I do think is going to make for a great outright bet is going to be Mark Hubbard. You can get him at 60-1 on some sites, 55-1 on average. Mark Hubbard is someone that has gotten a better finish at this tournament each of the last 3 years. So 3 years ago, finishing 41st, then 13th, and then 6th place last year. So if he does any better, he's going to be knocking on the door for a win. Now, the biggest concern that we have with Mark Hubbard is the fact that he has been finishing only like around top 50 over his past 7 starts. Like the form isn't bad per se because he's making cuts and he's finding ways to make cuts, even though he's clearly in a stretch in which he's a little bit off, especially compared to earlier on in the season. At the same time, it could be one little thing. And if that one little thing gets corrected, like he's still able to make the cuts, then we could be looking at him for a win. And if you look at key stat-wise, par 5 scoring ranks out 3rd in the field, 24th in the field in strokes gained putting, 17th in the field in birdie or better percentage. So we get him on a track in which he's really done well at. Like, to me, that's highly appealing. And yes, PointsBet again, giving us 70-1 for Mark Hubbard. Sign me up for that. I'm definitely okay with that. Then the last kind of longer shot outright bet I want to get onto is going to be Andrew Novak. Now, Andrew Novak, I was looking at the reason why I'm getting on him is he is a little bit like Alex Smalley last year, who did finish T2. And so with these longer shot bets, if you wanted to bet them to top 10 instead, you can do that. Or if you want to do like a made cut parlay with these guys, you can do that as well. You can get him at 7-1 to top 10. I don't mind that. To top 20, you can get him at 3-1. like that feels pretty good for me as well. This is more my way of calling out Andrew Novak. We're getting good lines on 90-1. And so again, this is more of a number bet, but this is more of an educated number bet for me. And so one of the things I did recently with an update on the website was kind of this 9-5 versus Vegas calculation here. And so if we go by outright, we can see in terms of how the 9-5 data is valuing Andrew Novak compared to Vegas, he's like the third best option that we are getting. And now this is only for the top 25 golfers in the field per the 9-5 model. And so that's pretty good. Obviously, we have Jacob Bridgman there, which I honestly don't mind as well. If you're like looking at a long shot bet, I think he is someone that makes sense as well. But Andrew Novak's the one I want to highlight, and I'll get into Bridgman in a second here. But like we look at Andrew Novak, and really across the board, stat-wise, he's popping. But more so in kind of a casual way, if you will. Like there's not going to be anything that really sticks out, but that's kind of what sticks out, if that makes sense. So he's like top 25 in course history rank, top 25 specialist. And again, the specialist data is pulling in all the unique characteristics for that week's tournament and putting into a data point. Recent form-wise, top 10, stat fit-wise, top 16. And so again, this really reminded me of Alex Smalley and the reasons why I got into Alex Smalley last year. He's coming in with a top 20 and 14th place finish. And so that's kind of like, I probably do like that top 20 bet a little bit better with him. But you look at it key stat-wise, top 45 or better in all the key stats that we're looking at. Really no concerns with him. Does have course experience, 42nd and 30th place finish. And so he is someone that like at 90-1 on FanDuel, I'm okay getting there. Like that's a good bet. But I did mention Jacob Bridgman as well. When we look at it, like it wouldn't be shocking to see him have a good week. Kind of again, he has been someone that has been playing pretty well on the PGA Tour. You could probably get him as a top 20 bet, maybe a little bit better of a bet there with him. But we're seeing key stat-wise, top 10 in the field in par 5 scoring, top 10 in the field in birdie or better percentage, and then strokes gained putting, 15th in the field. The one concern is ball striking, where he ranks 86. So maybe a little bit of a concern there, but he has been someone that has proven he can score, which is what we needed last year. And the fact that he has good form coming into this event, decently appealing as well. And kind of another long shot bet, Rico Hoey. I honestly don't know if that's how you say his name. Hoey, like Joey, but Hoey, maybe, probably 200-1 on FanDuel. And again, you compare that to like William Hill PointsBet. That's a big prop line, or that's a big, line difference that we are getting there. And now what's the appeal of him? It's really in the key stats and really in his start last week, which again, not the same course, but somewhat similar in terms of what we're looking at in terms of success. Key stat-wise, top 10 in the field in both par 5 scoring and ball striking. Not a good putter, but we see if you do putt well, you might get a good result out of him like we had last week with that 6th place finish. He's also top 20 in birdie or better percentage. And so again, probably not a guy I really want to bet outright wise, but if you want to put him down for a top 10 at 12-1, I'm kind of okay with that. Heck, even a top 20 at 5.5-1, I think is a decent bet that we are getting there as well. So that kind of concludes the outright part and the long shot bet part. Now let's go ahead and jump into where we are getting our best expected value when we compare the lines that we're getting on one sportsbook compared to the others. And so one of the better prop bets that we are getting, bets that we are getting is going to be Sungjae Im2 top 20 on something like PointsBet. Compared to everyone else, they're giving him about a 55% chance to have a top 20 finish, whereas we look at PointsBet, they're only giving him about a 50% edge. And so that is a thing that does add up. So let's say you put a $10 bet on him to finish top 20. That would pay out $1.75 more. And again, that might not seem huge, but that is stuff that does add up in the long term. Aaron Rai potentially to top 20 on William Hill. That's another decent bet that we are getting. Adam Svensson made cut bet on Bet365. Another decent bet that we are getting. Rico Hoey, top 20 on DraftKings or FanDuel. You compare that against the average line, like they're giving him about a 15.4% chance compared to the average sportsbook line, which is about a 19% chance to get that. So that payout is going to be much better. If you do a $10 bet, you would win about 12.2 more betting on those sites. And so that is stuff that does add up. And so those are some of the better EV bets that we were getting, but let's go ahead and jump into some matchup bets. All right, so getting into the matchups bet tool, which is something I just added in to the website. You can find that by clicking on the betting tab on the website under the golf tab. But anyways, we are using this tool to find the best bets that we have for that week's tournament. Now we can do that by two ways. There's going to be sorting by the 9-5 edge, which if you then go to the 9-5 edge bet, that'll tell us what bet you should be making. So for this specific example, it'd be Adam Svensson to lose to Andrew Novak for the tournament. Now there is the round and there is the tournament, okay? So right now all the best bets that we have are basically for the tournament, okay? But that is one way you can do it. The other way is to do it by Sportsbook Edge, and thus we would use the Sportsbook Edge bet. And so what we are doing with this is we are comparing what that book is giving us for their line and comparing that against the average odds. So for example, player one's book odds, DraftKings book odds, is about 48.78. So player one is always going to be the first player listed. Patrick Rogers has a 48.8% chance to beat Mark Hubbard. But when we compare that to the average odds, the average sportsbook would actually be favoring Patrick Rogers at about 50.76. And so although the 9-to-5 data is telling us that Patrick Rogers probably won't beat Mark Hubbard, if you just want to go based off of the sportsbooks where you're getting the best edge, best bang for your buck, you could go this route. And I'm not saying one is more correct or the other. Basically, choose one. I think if you choose one of those, whether it's Sportsbook Edge or 9-to-5 Edge, you're going to be successful in the long term. This is basically us seeing a clear-cut edge with this line, where the average lines are saying, all right, it's about a 51% chance or so that Patrick Rogers actually beats Mark Hubbard, where DraftKings is not saying that. You're getting a plus number bet here, and that's appealing. And so that's what this side of the tool is designed to do. So there's two different ways we can go about doing that. What I want to take a peek at is just going to be kind of the normal books that everyone plays on: Pinnacle, DraftKings, and BetMGM. So kind of getting into which players I do want to bet on. And let's start with the 9-to-5 edge. And so what we are going to see is we could actually bet Sungjae Im to lose to Aaron Rai. And that's going to be a pretty good bet. And so right now, Sungjae Im is minus 130 to beat Aaron Rai. And so we're getting plus 107 on Aaron Rai there if we bet on Aaron Rai to win. You know, it's whatever verbiage you want to use with it, that's going to be the way we kind of look at it. But this is a pretty good edge. Aaron Rai is projected to play better than Sungjae Im. Now, that being said, we know that Sungjae Im is very hit or miss, right? I think a better way to go about betting on Sungjae Im, again, is going to be to outright or miscut. Like, I think that's decent, but this is not a bad route to go. Another decent bet that we are getting would be on DraftKings to bet on Seamus Power to lose to Beau Hosler. That one's a little bit tighter, but still a pretty good one. When we compare the 9-to-5 odds, 9-to-5 odds is giving Seamus Power about a 52.7% chance to beat Seamus Power. Not terrible odds there. And then you can go down this list. And I think that's a good way to go about doing it. And then if we sort it by Sportsbook Edge again, what I would want to see here is where are we getting the same message? And so here's one. Jason Day, winner over JT Poston. Now, not a huge edge across the board, but still not bad. That'd be on BetMGM, but that's another route that we have. So we do have some good bets. And then lastly, let's jump into some 3-ball bets. And so looking at some 3-ball bets that we have for round one, Aaron Rai. Now, we're not really getting the best line on him, so we don't exactly need to bet that one, I would say. But after that, Maverick McNeely, we can get him at 2. That's basically my cutoff is 2 guys with the lines. That's what I want to be getting. So like Maverick McNeely, Luke Clanton, I'm good with. Kevin Yu, I'm good with. I mean, we are going to get some good bets here. And honestly, these top 5 after Aaron Rai, or if you even want to include Aaron Rai, I feel pretty good about that. Neil Shipley is someone that's projected to play well. I'm happy to roll with those. Andrew Novak is someone that I already mentioned I like as well. So again, we are getting a good edge with these 3-ball bets. Like, I feel pretty good about those bets. And guys, if you've been kicking it with these 3-ball bets, feel free to tweet it out at me so I can share that with the world. Again, when we're betting against these books, I get why DFS, why people maybe don't want to spread the love. I get that. But we're betting against the books here. Like, let's get the word out. And then lastly, let's go ahead and take a peek at some of the best first-round leader bets that we are getting. And now this is going to be for you to decide whether or not you want to do an AM advantage or PM advantage. Last week, unfortunately, got it wrong. I thought the earlier tee times would have the advantage. That kind of did not work. I mean, that did not work. I really thought I was going to get Aaron Rai first-round lead at like 70-1 throughout the whole day. And then it turns out the afternoon PM tee times actually had the 2 of the lowest scores of the day and actually seemed to be slightly easier scoring, which may be why Aaron Rai lost as well by 1 stroke. Typically speaking, though, I do like to go with the earlier tee times. And so typically speaking, I like to bet on the top 7 because that's the top 5% that have the first, that have the early tee time. But I don't know if that's the route I want to go this week. I think I might just bet on the top 7 because it doesn't seem like there's going to be a weather advantage at all for round 1. And so Aaron Rai, Maverick McNeely, Mark Hubbard, Jason Day, Davis Thompson, Luke Clanton you guys could roll with, and then Kevin Yu to round out the top 7. The nice thing about that is we are still getting some very good lines on all those guys. Nothing crazy, but you know, if one of those breaks away from the pack, 40-1 at the lowest number, I'm pretty okay with hitting that, right? So I think that's the route I'm going to go. At least that's how it's looking right now. Now, before I get out of here, I do want to remind you guys of the promo code that's going on the 9 to 5 website right now. That is going to be using the promo code SUMMER to get 50% off your first 9 to 5 membership. Okay, that's going to be available for the first 200 people that sign up. So it turns the $10 membership into a $5 membership. So it's already a great value for you. So take advantage of that. You get access to all the tools that I'm showing you guys on this website right now. So again, use the promo code SUMMER. That's going to be for new 9 to 5 members only. But that's going to be it for this video. Good luck with all your bets. Again, if you guys want access to the website, take advantage of all those tools available for, well, typically $10 a month, already a great value, for just $5 a month. And that's going to be for the first month only. All right, thanks for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.